This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris. Today I'm making linguine with clam sauce. This dish is really easy to put together. It's got a lot of fresh herbs in it, lots of clams, some delicious wine and garlic, and then a nice light cream sauce. This pasta dish comes together pretty quickly, so I'm going to get some of my ingredients together first before I start cooking. I'm going to start by getting 4 scallions, and I'm going to slice those up, and I want to use both the green and the white parts of the onion. I'm going to slice these up fairly thin because I'm going to be cooking this at a high heat to start with, and I want these onions to cook up nice and quickly. On top of the onions, I'm going to mince 2 cloves of garlic. These are going to cook together, so I'm just going to put the garlic right on top like that. Now I've moved the onions and garlic to the far side of my board because now I'm going to get some herbs chopped up. And I need to finely chop up 1/4 cup of parsley. And I'm also going to chop up 1/4 cup of fresh basil. Now when I cut up the basil, I take the leaves off the stem, and then I find one of the larger leaves and I kind of gather them all together like this, and I kind of give them a little roll. And then I just run my knife through it. Once like this, which is what we would call a chiffonade. These are nice thin slices of basil. But then I'm going to turn it and run my knife through it again to make these pieces just a little bit finer. So when you're done here, you'll end up with 1/4 cup of chopped parsley and 1/4 cup of chopped basil. Now over at the stove, I have a big pot of water that I've put on that I'm going to cook my linguine in, and you'll notice I put the lid on it. I find that helps bring the water to boil quicker. Now once the water is boiling, it's always a good idea to throw some salt in. That helps with the flavor of the pasta. And then I'm going to take my linguine and put it in the water. And I'm going to cook it for whatever the package says. This one says about 10 to 11 minutes. I also like to use a pair of tongs and push the pasta down into the water. And then I turn the heat down to a medium-high and put the timer on. In a large saute pan over medium heat, I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of butter. Once the butter is nicely melted, take your scallions and garlic, and we're going to put those in. And I'm going to saute these for about 3 to 4 minutes. After about 3 minutes, I'm going to add some flour. This is 6 tablespoons of flour. I'm going to sprinkle that in, and I'm going to mix it in with that butter and olive oil. We're making almost like a roux, which is going to be the thickener for our sauce. And once I don't see any more of the flour, and see how it's bubbling nice and fast, I'm going to put the timer on for 1 minute and let that flour cook. Now that that flour is nicely cooked, I'm going to start adding some liquid. I'm going to start by adding 1/2 cup of a dry white wine. I'm using a Sauvignon Blanc. I'm going to stir that in. You can see it's starting to really thicken up here. And now I'm going to turn my heat down to a medium-low, and I'm going to add 2 cups of milk. Now as I add the milk, I'm going to add it a little bit at a time and stir that in. And then once that's in, I'm going to add a little bit more. Now it's important we keep the milk moving at this point because you see we want to have a fairly thick sauce to coat the pasta. So I want to make sure that that roux and that milk gets nicely combined. Now this is looking really good. Now I'm going to add my herbs. So I'm going to put in my parsley and my basil. And then I'm going to be adding my clams. Now I have 4 tins of a chopped clam. Now that's not a minced clam. Minced clams are really, really fine. These are actually bigger pieces of clam. And I want the juice as well. So I'm going to add them 1 can at a time, stirring it as I go. That clam juice really adds a nice flavor to this sauce too. Now I'm going to turn my heat back up to a medium, and I'm going to let this cook slowly for about 5 minutes. Now my pasta is done. I'm going to take it over to the sink and drain it. And then I like to leave the strainer over the pasta pot. It's not on the heat. And then I put just a drizzle of olive oil, and I toss that together with the tongs. That way the pasta doesn't stick together while I'm finishing the sauce. Now this has been heating nice and gently. You're going to want to taste it for salt. So I'm going to put a little bit in. And also pepper. Now, if you weren't quite ready to serve this sauce, you could keep it on a low heat and let it stay warming. You could also take it off the heat and chill it down completely, put it in the refrigerator, and serve it either later in the day or the next day. It holds up really well. So this is about the thickness that I like the sauce to be at. So let's go ahead and serve it up. Now to serve, all you have to do is take some of the pasta, put it right in the middle of the plate, and then spoon some of that yummy clam sauce on top. And you see, with all those fresh herbs, yummy. And then it's great with just a sprinkle of some Parmesan cheese on top. If you'd like to try this linguine with clam sauce at home, just go to our website and visit the Easy Entertaining show notes, and I'll have the recipe there for you. And as always, if you have any questions, please send me an email. I'll see you next time.